I'm not lying to you when I say I really don't like painting. And that's something that's kind of weird to say because I've been a concept artist and illustrator for the past 5 years, and I've actually supported myself financially just from painting. In this video, I want to show you why I paint, even though I really don't enjoy it as a part of the game dev pipeline. I'm Jared. I'm a professional concept artist and illustrator. I worked on Disney's Lorcana. I worked on a couple other really big game projects where my entire role was simply to be an illustrator. So I've painted quite a bit, but like I said, I kind of actually hate it. It's really tedious and it's dull and it takes a lot of my effort and emotional energy. The process is really long and it can take anywhere from about 3 hours at a bare minimum to 80 plus hours. That's time that most game devs and game artists really just don't want to invest in the pipeline. On top of that, it's really emotionally draining. The process is super hard, and over time, a lot of delusion and self-doubt and tilt can form. All that discomfort reaches a crescendo when you show it to another person, because your hours and hours of effort and love that you've poured into your piece end up culminating in a simple, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's just if you're lucky. If you're really unlucky, you might even get some unwarranted feedback or criticism that just tears into your piece and makes you want to go cry in a corner. Painting can make me hate even my most appealing drawings. It can also feel extremely frustrating to butt your head up against the brick wall that is color and light. Progress comes, but it feels really slow. So why would I even want to paint a concept piece? What even is the purpose of painting in concept art and games? Wouldn't it just be easier to skip the painting process and move straight into sculpting or modeling? So if you think like that, then you actually feel the exact same way that I do. But I actually want to cover a couple important use cases for why you would choose to do a painting. In fact, painting can actually be the secret sauce that will just take your really meh concept into something super, super cool. For me, I really only paint because it accomplishes a goal. So there's parts of my process that are born out of necessity. And for me, that necessity is just getting the piece done so I don't go insane. Let's just break down some of the desired outcomes that we want to get out of a painting, and then maybe we'll see why it might be more important than we think it is. Number 1. Paintings really help you quickly iterate on color and design early in the process, and without really forming any commitment. This includes important details like material qualities, textures, different color schemes, and the iconic color choices that are necessary to make your character pop. This can be a really important step if you're designing a cast of characters that needs to feel really distinctive and unique. And if you just want to make sure that your characters are easily recognizable during gameplay or for the duration of their screen time. Number 2, painting with light and shadow can help provide a ton of extra details about the form of the character or object, and it will really help with the sculpting and modeling phase of the pipeline. Think about painting as the pre-sculpting process, where you quickly iterate on shapes and forms of an object without having to handle the entire 3D topology all at once. Because in a painting, you're able to just focus on one 2D view, you're able to find a lot of appealing shapes and forms, which can then be extrapolated by a skilled sculptor or modeler down the pipeline. Number 3, paintings can be used as a really invaluable tool for persuasion. Think selling. And by selling, I don't mean literally selling your work, even though paintings can definitely help with that. But by selling, I mean like selling an idea, like getting someone to buy in on your design and thought process. Oftentimes, simple line drawings won't do the trick. An executive or art director might not be completely convinced or even really get it if your design isn't finished. But by painting it, you give them enough information to give them a very clear decision. Additionally, creating appealing artwork is a super quick way to gather attention from a crowd, and it can really help you stand out from other people's projects. In the context of game dev, having beautiful art can be enough to get someone to click on your game, especially if they might have skimmed over it otherwise. So now that we've covered why you might want to paint a piece, let's cover some reasons why you might consider skipping the painting process, since oftentimes that can be a really valid strategy as well. Number 1, paintings aren't always necessary. If your piece is a background prop or a background character, it might not warrant a thorough painting. In the case where colors don't need to feel iconic and the goal is just to have them fit in with the background, most color decisions can just be solved in 3D texturing or even in the game engine you use. In that sense, the majority of assets you use in your game will likely not need painting and can be done from a simple sketch. Or if you're really confident in your 3D skills, you can just skip the sketch and painting phase altogether and just get assets done without any preamble. Number 2, you suck at or don't want to go through the painful process of learning how to paint. That's totally valid, especially for people who aren't invested in painting as a long-term skill. Learning to paint is one of the most painful parts of art for me personally. I put hours of effort and love into a piece just to have it trampled by the first person who looks at it. So if you feel that way, you're not alone. However, learning to paint has given me a lot of confidence in color and presentation. So I can't in good conscience tell you to avoid it altogether, because learning to paint will help you learn how to market and sell appealing artwork. And that could be one of the biggest keys to success in the games industry. So ignore painting at your own peril. All right, guys, it's post-editing Jared here. I feel like I missed one key point here when we were talking through reasons you might want to skip a painting. So I'm just going to cover that really fast before we get any further. So sometimes you want to paint, you know it would help the project, and you know it would even probably be a necessary thing if you wanted to really have the best results possible. But time is a limiting factor, and painting takes up a lot of time. So sometimes in order to have an optimized workflow, you just need to skip painting because you don't have time for it. That's an understandable place to be at, because art is not going to make a good game. Art might help sell the game, but it's not going to make a good game. So spend your time on making a good game first and foremost, and then make sure that art does enough to get the job done, to get the game in front of people. But don't overinvest on art, because it's not going to pay off the same way that it would to overinvest in a game loop and have a really, really solid experience. So I just want to make sure that you guys kind of understand this art stuff. It's important. It's got its purpose. It will really, really help with marketing, with click-through, with all that sort of stuff. But it's not going to make a good game for you. That's on you. Another way to think about this is, what are 10% of the items that are going to increase your click-through rate on your marketing art as much as possible? And think about painting those. But don't get caught up in the mindset that every piece of concept art needs to be a finished, pretty, polished painting. In fact, it should only be taken to the level that you need it to fulfill the next stage of the pipeline. In a lot of cases, that means keeping it in a really rough sketch, maybe not even sketching it at all. In a lot of cases, and in a lot of styles, it might be appropriate to skip concept sketch and painting altogether and move straight into the 3D or the gameplay elements that are going to make the most difference. Overall, I just want to give you an accurate view of the pipeline and how to most efficiently manage things for your project. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd give me a like and subscribe so I can continue making this content and hopefully help you guys learn how to make the best possible art for your given situation. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.